The supply ship Valkyrie landed on the cold metal platform of the Zalari research station. It was a quiet day to quiet. The alien staff moved slowly through the halls, barely speaking. Their world valued silence. Loud noises were considered rude. Music was unknown. Among the new arrivals was a human engineer named Leo. He was young, with messy brown hair, a friendly smile, and a strange box slung over his shoulder. It was black and scratched, with metal strings across the front. The aliens stared at it like it was dangerous. "What is that thing?" one of them whispered. "It's a guitar," Leo answered with a grin. "It plays music." The aliens blinked. Music? The word meant nothing to most of them. But to one alien girl, Yelani, it made her ears twitch. She was small for her kind, with soft violet skin, bright silver eyes, and long sensory frills instead of hair. She stood at the edge of the docking bay, her gaze fixed on the human. The Lani had heard of humans bringing strange objects, things that made loud vibrations. Rumors said such sounds could damage Zalari's ears. Some elders even called it a weapon. She backed away as Leo walked past. Later that evening, inside the crew hall, Leo sat alone in his quarters, gently tuning the strings of his guitar. His fingers moved slowly, lovingly. With one soft stroke, he played a note, twang. Yelani, walking by his door, froze. The note hit her like a jolt of lightning. It wasn't painful, but it wasn't comfortable either. It echoed deep inside her mind. She pressed her hand to her chest. Her breathing quickened. More notes followed, a slow rhythm, low and smooth, like flowing water. The Lani stepped closer, carefully peeking through the door crack. Leo was playing something calm and dreamy, eyes half closed. The sound filled the room, curling into the air like smoke. She should have turned away. She should have reported him. But she didn't. She stayed and listened. Suddenly the lights flickered. A solar flare was approaching, a rare and dangerous storm that interfered with electronics. Panic filled the outpost. Alarms rang. Aliens scrambled. Power systems failed. The room went dark. Yelani's hands shook. Her frills flattened in fear. The Zalari were extremely sensitive to solar storms. Without proper shielding, their senses overloaded, some collapsed, others screamed. But then, a new sound rose above the chaos. Ryu. It was Leo's guitar. Loud, raw, wild. He'd stepped into the center hall with his guitar plugged into an emergency power source. No fancy systems, just a single speaker. The sound was unlike anything the aliens had heard before. It roared through the halls like thunder. It wasn't random noise. It had power, emotion, control. The aliens gasped, some shielding their ears. But Yelani didn't. She stood still, frozen in place, eyes wide. The music flowed around her, through her body. Should have rejected it. But instead, her skin tingled. Her frills stood tall. Inside her chest, something stirred. Something old, something forgotten. Leo played with energy. His fingers moved like lightning across the strings. The music rose and fell like waves, loud then quiet, angry then gentle. He looked up and saw her. Yelani, watching him, it's not in fear, but wonder. He softened the music, playing a slower melody, almost like a heartbeat. The room calmed. The storm outside still raged, but inside, the music was louder. One by one, aliens stopped panicking. Some even sat down, confused but curious. Yelani stepped forward, unable to stop herself. Her eyes locked on the guitar. On Leo, her voice came out in a whisper, almost afraid. Why? Why does my heart feel like it's flying? Leo paused gently, plucking a soft note, because you're hearing more than just sound. You're feeling the soul of it. Yelani pressed her fingers to her ears. It should hurt, but it doesn't. It feels alive. Leo smiled. That's music. In that moment, something changed in her. Something she didn't understand. Yet, the solar storm passed, systems slowly returned to normal, and the outpost returned to silence. But in Yelani's mind, The music didn't stop. That night, while everyone else slept, she lay in her room awake. Her heart still beat to the rhythm of Leo's guitar. Outside, the stars sparkled like notes waiting to be played. And Yolani? She was no longer afraid of the sound. She wanted to hear it again. Maybe she wanted to create it too. Yolani couldn't sleep. Her ears twitched all night. Her thoughts spun like a storm inside her head. The music, the humans' wild noise still echoed deep in her bones. She had grown up believing sound was dangerous. Her elders always warned. Her silence is peace. Loudness is madness. What she heard yesterday wasn't madness. It felt like her soul had woken up. The next morning, she stood in front of the mirror, touching the tips of her long, thin ear frills. They were slightly glowing. "What is happening to me?" she whispered. She didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Instead, she did something she never thought she'd do. She walked back to the human's room. The door was half open. Inside, Leo sat cross-legged, on the floor, tuning his guitar again. His face looked tired but calm. A strange green drink sat beside him. Before Yolani could turn away, Leo looked up. "You again?" he said with a grin. "You like spying on me?" Yolani flinched. "I wasn't spying," she lied quickly. "I was curious." Leo shrugged and patted the floor. "Want to sit?" She hesitated. Her body screamed, "No." Her heart whispered, "Yes." She stepped inside and sat, leaving a safe distance. Leo picked up his guitar again but didn't play yet. "Is it true?" Yolani asked quietly. "Your people make these sounds all the time?" "Music?" He chuckled. "Everywhere. All kinds. Some humans scream into mics for fun. Others play soft piano to help them sleep." Yolani's eyes widened. "Screaming is fun?" Leo laughed. "Only for some. It's not just about volume. It's about meaning." "Feeling?" Yolani looked down. "When you played yesterday, I felt something. I shouldn't have. My kind. We don't feel through sound." Leo raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure about that?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" Instead of answering, Leo strummed a very soft note, almost a whisper. The sound was gentle. Like the wind moving through leaves, Yolani's ear frills fluttered. He played another note, then another. Slowly, a melody formed, calm, sad, beautiful. Yolani gasped. Her frills stood fully upright, glowing faintly. Emotion she didn't understand. Her eyes watered. She covered her mouth. Leo watched her with gentle eyes. "You're not broken, Yolani. Maybe you're just different." Her hands trembled. "Why does it feel like my ears are? Remembering something?" Leo leaned forward. "Maybe your ancestors used to feel music too. Maybe it's in your blood." She didn't speak. She couldn't. Something inside her cracked open. After a long silence, Yolani whispered, "Can I touch it?" The guitar. Leo nodded. "Of course." She reached out slowly, like it might bite her. Her fingers touched the strings. They felt cool. Alive. Leo guided her hand. "Try this." He helped her press down one string and pluck it. Ding. A soft note rang through the room. It felt warm. Her eyes widened. I made that." Leo smiled. "Yup, your first note." Smiled too. A real one. Then suddenly her smile faded. From outside, heavy footsteps echoed. Alien boots. Yolani's face went pale. "Hide it now." Leo frowned. "Why?" The door slid open before he could move. 3 alien officials stood there tall. Armored, grim-faced, the lead one growled, "Engineer Leo. Step outside immediately. We must speak." Leo stood, confused. "Did I break something?" "Not a thing," the alien growled. "But your noise did." He looked at Yolani. "You too. Come." They were brought to the council chamber. The elders sat around a glowing table, silent, cold. One elder spoke, voice like stone. "You brought corruption, human. You infected one of our own." Yolani stepped forward. He didn't. "I chose to listen." "You are not qualified to choose," the elder snapped. Your frills glowed. "That is a warning sign." Yolani clenched her fists. "Maybe it's not a warning. Maybe it's a sign that we were wrong." The room froze. Enough, the elder hissed. The music must stop, immediately, or you, Engineer Leo, will be removed from this station. Yeleni turned to Leo, eyes wide with fear. But Leo just smiled gently. I won't stop playing, he said calmly. But I won't force anyone to listen either. He looked at Yelani. Your choice, not mine. Later that night, Yelani sat alone in her quarters, heart racing. She stared at her hands. She had touched music. She had made it, and now she wanted more. Even if the whole world told her it was wrong, because for the first time in her life, she felt alive. The next morning, the air felt colder on the station, not because of the temperature, but because of the silence. Leo was banned from playing his guitar. Anywhere outside his room, every alien avoided him now, except one, Delani. She sat near the ship's observation window, sketching shapes with her finger on the glass, not words. Not numbers, strings, waves, sound. Suddenly, a soft knock. She turned. Leo stood there, holding something long and wrapped in dark cloth. She stood up quickly. You're not supposed to. It's not plugged in, Leo whispered. I promise. Just come with me. Delani hesitated, then followed. He led her deep into the underlevels of the station, through quiet corridors no one used anymore. Rusted doors, faint lights, old rooms left untouched. They stepped into a room filled with dust and silence. Leo placed the cloth bundle on a table and slowly unwrapped. It's revealing the guitar. It looked different in the dim light, not like a toy, like an artifact. Why are we here? Yelani asked softly. Leo sat on a stool and handed her a small handheld scanner. Scan this guitar. I want to show you something. She hesitated, then tapped the scanner. Beeps echoed as the device ran its check. Yelani's eyes widened. The vibration frequency, matching Zellery resonance markers. Leo nodded. Exactly. This guitar wasn't designed for Zellar ears, but it matches something inside you. Something old. She swallowed. That's not possible. Maybe it's not supposed to be, he said, but it is. He plucked one string, barely touching it. The sound was faint, yet Yelani flinched like it touched her heart. She stepped closer. I want to try again, she said quietly. Leo handed her the guitar. Her fingers trembled. She remembered the shape of the strings. She strummed one note, soft, then another. A little louder. The sound trembled through the air. The lights in the room flickered. What was that? She gasped. Leo's smile faded. That's why I brought you here. Walked to the back wall and wiped away dust, revealing something behind it. Ancient, alien symbols, curved lines, crystals embedded in the wall. She stepped forward. This isn't part of the station. Leo nodded. I scanned this section last week. It's not in any blueprint. It's older than the station itself. Yelani's voice shook. Then what is it? A temple, Leo said. Or maybe a forgotten memory. He picked up the guitar again and played the same. 2 notes. The wall crystals glowed. The symbols shimmered. And in that moment, something stirred in Yelani's chest like a heartbeat that didn't belong to her. I've heard this rhythm before, she whispered. In my dreams, Leo stared at her. Your body remembers. Your people used to feel music. Maybe you were echo bringers once? She stepped closer to the wall, her hand brushing the glowing symbols. The elders always said our kind were born from silence. But what if that silence came after? A great noise? She turned to Leo, eyes shining. What if we were made to hear this? Suddenly, armed sirens blared through the station. Red lights flashed. Emergency lockdown. The speaker shouted. Unknown energy detected in lower levels. Leo grabbed the guitar. They found us, he said. Yelani grabbed his hand. No, I'll explain. They have to listen now. But the door burst open. Armed guards flooded in. Drop the device, I shouted. Leo raised his hands. Yelani stepped in front. Of him. Wait. He didn't do anything wrong. A tall elder stepped forward, cold eyes locked on her. Step aside, child. No. The elder's eyes narrowed. You're protecting a threat, I'm protecting the truth, she cried. That sound you fear, it's part of us. It's. Elder looked to another. Restrain them both. Guards moved forward. Leo clutched the guitar. Yolani braced herself, but before anyone could touch them, the wall behind them lit up. The crystal cymbals began to pulse. A deep hum shook the room. All froze. A voice echoed, not spoken, but felt. Echo ... found. The lights dimmed. Vibrated. The elders backed away in shock. Leo stared at Yolani. That was your voice. She was trembling. I didn't say anything. The guitar strings began vibrating on their own, and then the humming stopped. Silence returned, but nothing was the same. One elder fell to his knees. We buried this power. Yolani stepped forward. But it never left. Leo put a hand on her shoulder. They need to hear the music again, the elder whispered, shaken. Then it must be decided. Is your music a weapon or a gift? A heavy silence hung over the station, but this time, it wasn't natural. It was forced. A silence full of fear, doubt, and ancient memories waking up. Yolani had been locked in her quarters. Leo was forbidden to leave his and the glowing wall. The ancient chamber they had awakened was sealed off by the council. Nobody spoke of it. Nobody dared. The timing couldn't have been worse. The Festival of Silence was only 3 days away. It was the most sacred event for the Zelaria time, when not a single word, sound, or movement was allowed. For 3 hours, the station went still. Even breathing was slow and soft. It was meant to honor the ancestors, but now, Yolani wondered if they'd misunderstood those ancestors all along. Alone in her room, she stared at her notebook. But instead of drawing patterns of silence like she used to, she sketched the guitar, over and over, and something new, her own hands, glowing. Am I cursed? She whispered. Or chosen? Suddenly her communicator buzzed. A hidden channel, she answered it quickly. Leo's voice crackled through. Meet me in the hydroponics bay. Don't tell anyone. Her heart raced. Are you crazy? She was already putting on her robe. The hydroponics bay was warm and full of green plants.
Ow.
It was the only place on the station that didn't feel cold and metallic. Leo was waiting near the large water tanks, his guitar strapped to his back and a bag full of old tools beside him. She raised her voice in a harsh whisper. Someone sees us. He said, pointing upward. She looked up security. Cameras were off? How? She asked. I had help, he said.
No.
There's someone else on this station who doesn't fear the music. He pulled out a small device, an old Zellery crystal speaker, dusty and cracked. This was buried in the back storage room. Yolani stared. Yes. Illegal tech. Ancient tech, he corrected. Your people didn't destroy music, they erased it. He plugged his guitar into the crystal speaker. No, Leo, don't. But it was too late. A soft, slow melody filled the greenhouse. Not loud. Not wild, gentle, warm, the vines responded. They shimmered, their leaves opening as if in bloom. The light in the room changed. It turned. Golden. Yolani's breath caught in her throat. The plants are responding. Leo nodded. Sound effects. Matter, even alien matter. He stepped closer to her, holding the guitar out. I need your help. What? We're going to perform during the festival. Her jaw dropped. Are you mad? That's the most sacred time. There are guards everywhere. Any sound during the ceremony is punishable. Exactly, Leo said. It's the only time they'll all be gathered together. They won't be. Able to ignore it, Yolani backed away. They'll arrest you, maybe even exile you. And me. Leo's voice was calm, but firm. Maybe they'll hear something they forgot. She looked at him. At the guitar. At the blooming plants, Dada nodded. The day of the festival arrived. All lights on the station dimmed. Airflow slowed. Gravity systems lowered their hum. Everything became still. Yolani sat among the elders, her head lowered, her body still, her nerves screaming. 3 levels below, Hidden in a maintenance shaft, Leo waited. He adjusted the amplifier, held his breath, then, as the sacred 3 minutes of absolute silence began, he played just one note. D-O-O-O-O-O-O-N-N-N-N-G-G-G. It vibrated like a bell in a dark temple. On the upper level, the elders froze. Gasps rippled. Eyes turned toward Yelani. But she stood and sang. Not words, tones, harmonics, echoes of a language. Long forgotten, the hall trembled. Crystals on the wall flickered. Then something incredible happened. The floor of the hall opened. The hidden chamber from before rose like a platform unsealed by the frequency. The walls glowed with ancient music symbols. A voice echoed once more, not from Leo, not from Yelani, but from the stones. The echo bringers return. Guards raised their weapons. Elders shouted, but the station didn't obey them anymore. Lights turned golden. The walls sang with Leo's guitar and Yelani. She wasn't scared anymore. She walked to the center of the hall, lifted her glowing hands, and spoke calmly. We were never meant for silence. And no one could deny it now. The chamber was alive. Glowing symbols floated in the air. Ancient carvings pulsed with quiet energy. The station trembled not from danger, but from something far deeper. Memory. The crowd stood frozen. Even the harshest elders dared not move. Leo slowly stepped up from the lower level, still holding the guitar. His fingers were shaking, but he didn't stop. The strings gave off a soft hum, as if the instrument itself remembered this place. Yelani stood at the center of the glowing circle, her frills fully extended, her hands glowing pale blue, and then the echo came, not sound, not speech, feeling every alien in the hall gasped and clutched their chests as a pulse moved through them. A wave of emotion, sadness, longing. Then joy. It came from the chamber walls, from the symbols, from the past. A projection appeared in the air above the circle. It's hazy at first, but growing clearer. A figure tall, Zellerite, but older, more decorated. His hands moved with graceful gestures and sound followed. He wasn't speaking. He was playing music, echoes of deep. Rich tones filled the hall. Gasps rippled across the room. An elder dropped his staff. That's impossible. Yelani stared at the vision. It's them, she whispered. Our ancestors. Leo looked around. Your people weren't born in silence. They used sound like humans do, but differently. Not just for entertainment, for healing, for memory, for connection. One elder stepped forward, eyes wide. This is a sacred lie, no, Yelani said firmly. This is our truth. You just forgot it. The projection showed more scenes of alien cities pulsing with rhythm, families humming in harmony, children learning to play vibration flutes and echo drums. A whole civilization built on resonance, and then destruction. The projection turned dark screams. Da. Buildings cracked. A sharp, violent tone shook everything. The vision showed a weapon made of sound. Twisted and corrupted, the harmony was used for war. A final scene appeared. A group of elders, much like those in the room now, gathered and sealed away the instruments and knowledge. A new law was written. Silence is survival. The projection vanished. The chamber dimmed. Silence returned, but it wasn't the same. This silence was ashamed. Leo looked around. They didn't erase music because it was useless. They erased it because they feared it. Lonnie stepped forward. But fear doesn't erase truth. We're still echo bringers. I felt it. And now I know my ears were not broken. They were waiting. One elder trembled. And if the past returns, if that destructive sound rises again, Leo looked at him. Then teach the next generation not to fear sound, but to guide it. A young alien child near the back stepped forward. Her eyes were wide, her frills flickering. Can I hear the song again? She whispered. The elders were silent. Yelani smiled softly. Leo. He nodded. This time the melody was light, gentle, almost playful. Yolani closed her eyes and joined him, humming softly an echo in harmony with his tune. Around them, the glowing carvings reacted not violently but gently. The floor pulsed. Like a heartbeat, more children stepped closer, one by one. Even the oldest aliens lowered their heads. And then something unexpected happened. The station's central, AI lit up with a voice long dormant. Music he recognized. Harmony mode unlocked. Doors across the station opened automatically. Old archives became accessible. Blueprints appeared in the air schematics of sound-based technology hidden for centuries. Leo's eyes widened. Your ancestors didn't destroy it all. They just buried it, Yolani whispered. And now, we've dug it back up. Suddenly, a new sound cut through the chamber. Clapping. It came from a lone figure standing in the shadows. A tall, cloaked alien, unknown with one glowing eye and long gloves. Well done, the figure said, stepping forward. You unlocked? The chamber. That makes things interesting. Guards reached for their weapons. Who are you? Demanded an elder. The figure chuckled. Let's just say I represent those who preferred the silence. The buried silence. He held up a small device. It pulsed red. Leo's instincts kicked in. Yolani run, but she didn't. She stepped forward and raised her voice not loud, but sharp and focused. A single word. Stop. Her voice struck the device with a wave of energy. It shorted out and exploded in the stranger's hand. The guards lunged, but the figure vanished in a flash of light. Yolani fell to her knees. Leo caught her. Her voice was weak. He was... Of the quiet keepers, they don't want the echoes to return. Leo looked at her, serious, and we'll have to make sure the whole galaxy hears them. The chamber remained quiet, but not in fear anymore. It was the calm before a storm of change. Yolani lay on a healing cot inside the medbay, body still trembling from what she had done. The energy wave she had released wasn't just a sound. It was a command, something buried deep in her bloodline, something the quiet keepers had tried to erase. But now it was awake, and it had chosen her. Leo sat beside her, his guitar on his lap like a silent companion. They'll come back, she whispered, voice hoarse. That cloaked one wasn't alone. I know, Leo said quietly. That's why we don't just play another song. He looked into her tired eyes. We compose a revolution. In the following days, the entire station changed. Where once the halls echoed with nothing but footsteps and whispers, now soft harmonies traveled through the air. Leo and Yolani were no longer outcasts. They were leaders of something new. Or maybe something ancient reborn. Aliens, young and old, came forward, some with questions, some with memories, and some with hidden artifacts passed down quietly through generations. Instruments, devices, sound stones, hadn't sung in hundreds of years. One elder stepped forward during a gathering. My mother told me a story once, he said, of a lullaby sung by her great-grandmother. I thought it was myth. He handed Yolani a small orb. When she activated it, played a melody, fragile, ancient, but filled with love. Children listened, elders cried, and Leo. He added a soft guitar riff over it. The result made the entire room rise to their feet without knowing why. Word spread across the planet below the station. The echo flame had returned. In response, the ruling council of the surface sent a message, a choice. Cease all sound experiments or lose all support. Yolani stood at the transmission deck, staring at the blinking screen. We're not just playing music, she told them. We're healing history. The council replied with cold logic, and you stand alone. Leo stepped in. Then we'll stand louder. Yolani turned to the station commander, who had been silent for days. You saw the chamber. You felt it. We really let them bury this again? Commander's voice cracked slightly. What are you asking for? Yolani looked him in the eyes. A performance. One that will be broadcast to the planet. No more hiding. Let the people hear. And decide. The day arrived. Every deck of the station filled with life. The chamber was transformed into a stage old. Instruments were cleaned. New ones were built by curious engineers and alien youth. Zelari, who had once feared music, now stood ready to become it. At the center of the platform stood Yolani, dressed in ceremonial robes with echo lines running. Across her skin, her frills glowed with steady light. Her presence alone was enough to quiet a room. But this wasn't a time for quiet. Leo stood beside her with his guitar, freshly polished, and now linked directly into the station's main speaker grid. One by one, the lights across the station dimmed, and across the skies, ships and homes below tuned into the feed. Millions waited. Delani stepped forward. She did not speak. She sang. It wasn't words. It wasn't even something fully understood. It was feeling shaped by voice. Guided by soul, Leo joined her on the second note, strumming low, rhythmic chords. Other instruments followed, vibrating drums, crystal chimes, layered humming from the background. The music grew not wild, not aggressive, but strong, warm, like home. Some Solari across the planet wept. Others felt their frills glow for the first time in their lives. And then the final verse began. Yolani raised her hands. A ripple of energy flowed outward, not to hurt, but to connect. Memories unlocked across the population. Visions of ancestors, of children, playing melody games in gardens, of healers using hums to soothe the sick, of celebrations. Where sound was sacred, the feed ended in silence, but no one dared shut it off. Within hours, responses flooded in. Messages, songs, voices from across the world. A teacher, my students are singing again. We thought it was wrong. Now I know it was right. A farmer, the vibrations helped my crops. I don't understand it, but it works. An elder, I played my grandmother's flute. For the first time, my grandchildren smiled at me. Some quiet keepers, those once sworn to silence, sent anonymous recordings of lost songs. The planet had changed, not by force, not by war, by a song that didn't just heal ears, it healed identity. And at the center of it all stood a human. With a guitar, it's an alien girl who once feared sound. Now they were its voice. The stars were quiet again, but this time it wasn't the cold silence of fear. It was peace, a waiting breath across the Zelari homeworld and the station above. Everything had changed since Yolani and Leo's song. The elders who once ruled through silence had stepped back, not because they were forced, but because they remembered, and they were ashamed now. On the highest summit of the planet, the peak of Whispers, an ancient stage, was being rebuilt. A place so old, no map recorded it. It had been buried, sealed, forgotten, but now it was open again. Crowds gathered from across the world. Ships hovered in the sky. Drones floated, recording the moment. Even the wind seemed to hold their breath. This was not a concert, this was a return. Yolani stood at the center of the ancient stone platform. The carved runes beneath her feet glowed softly in rhythm with her heartbeat. She wore no royal robe, no armor, just a simple tunic and her glowing frills live with color. Leo stood beside her, guitar in hand. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. The people had come for her, for their voice. She looked at them, all species, all ages, standing shoulder to shoulder. Some had instruments, some just brought their hearts. Yolani took a deep breath, then strummed a note. The mountains echoed. Then another note, and another. Her voice followed. Not a shout, not a scream, just one long, powerful tone. It climbed the sky. The crowd didn't cheer. They hummed, quiet at first, then louder. A harmony building between thousands, not perfect, not rehearsed, but real. Yolani closed her eyes, letting the sound pass through her. She didn't just feel it in her ears, but in her bones. In her blood, visions returned of her ancestors. Children with vibration flutes, dancing in spiral gardens. Mothers humming lullabies that could calm even the wildest winds. Fathers carving eco-stones into songbooks. She saw it all, because it was hers. She opened her eyes and turned to Leo. "Ready?" she asked, smiling. Leo nodded. Fingers pressing against the strings, he played. A melody full of stars. The sky seemed to bend around them, and then Yolani danced. It wasn't graceful, but it was full of soul. Every step matched a beat. Every spin carried a wave. Children joined her. Elders did too. Even the station's commander, once afraid. Once silent, picked up a forgotten horn and played. No one told anyone what to do. They simply remembered because the music was already inside them. One alien boy, barely 6 cycles old, ran to the front and shouted, "I want to learn to play too." Yolani smiled and knelt before him. "You already can," she said. "Just listen to your heart." That night, the galaxy changed not by force, not by speeches, but by rhythm. Across communication networks, Zelari voices once again joined galactic frequencies, not in silence or formality, but in song. Other species listened. Some joined, some cried. The Zelari were no longer just a quiet people. They were echo-bringers reborn months later. The first intergalactic music archive opened. At the entrance was a statue of 2 figures. A human with a guitar slung across his back, and a Zelari girl with glowing frills and an open hand. Below it, simple inscription. She played in we. Remembered. Far above the statue, on a small space station orbiting the twin moons, Leo played softly under a dome of glass, stars shining above him. Delani sat beside him, tuning her own instrument. It was new. It had never existed before. Part guitar, part echo harp, part memory? She called it the soul string. Leo looked at her. "Still think hard rock will melt your ears," she chuckled. "If you play it too loud." He grinned. "Want me to?" Raised an eyebrow. "Dare you?" He strummed a sharp riff. She hit back with a humming blast of energy from her soul string. A flash of soundlight burst across the glass. They both laughed. Because this time, music didn't hurt her. It made her complete.